Hey everyone, welcome to today's watch review. We're going to be taking a look at the Blancpain 50 Fathoms automatic in titanium with the blue dial, the beautiful sunray blue dial, and the navy sailcloth strap combination. Retail price as shown is $15,700. This exact combination debuted in 2017. And the nice thing is with Blancpain, there is quite a bit of variety of selection. If you don't like blue, there's black. If you don't like titanium, there's stainless steel. There's a bracelet option. There's a 40mm option. There are limited edition versions. There is some nice selection from the OEM, from the manufacturer, but I have what would be considered the most iconic version, the full size with the blue. This is the best-selling version for Blancpain, and I've got to say it is such a treat to have in front of the camera. And we're going to go through the details here. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the not so good, and at the end of the video, I will tell you what I think of this watch, unashamed, unabashed. Is it worth the going rate? Because this is an interesting price point. You know, this is north of what a Submariner from Rolex retails at. And so there are a lot of great options at this price point. And is this worth it? You know, if you're shopping this watch, will you be disappointed if you pull the trigger? I'm going to give you guys my opinion, but first let's start with the dimensions, the specifications here. This is a substantial size. So if you have smaller wrists or smaller sport watch preferences, I would opt for a 40mm variation. And for myself, I do appreciate a more traditional size. So personally, I might go for a stainless steel in 40, like I'm showing here on the screen. I think this one is a very attractive version. But I will say my wrists are 7.25 inches, so I can absolutely wear this full-size version, especially in titanium. It makes it more manageable. And I would say objectively, I don't think this is uncomfortable. I don't think this is cumbersome. And so if you do appreciate a watch of this size, this is absolutely an option for you as a daily driver. In stainless steel on a bracelet, I might argue otherwise, just with the added weight and heft. But as shown in titanium, I don't think you should have any reservations about this size. Now let's talk details. We'll go in on the dial on a macro level. And I've got to tell you guys, this is one of the cleanest, sharpest executed dials that I've had the pleasure of filming under the macro lens. As you guys can see, there are no rough edges to the white gold substantial handset here, to the white gold applied markers. The sunray grain is clean. There's great color play here. I don't see any dust or particulates, and I love the delineation between the inner starburst ring and the outer guilloche concentric circle texturing done on a micro level on the hour track. The whole look is so beautiful. It shines under the macro lens. There's great light play. The printing of the logo of the water resistance is very tidy. There's a pop of red on the running seconds hand. Overall, this is very well done. And I compare this to my Rolex Submariner, to my Hulk. And actually, I've noticed a little bit of rough edges in areas. There's a hint of rough finishing on my white gold applied markers. And, you know, I compare that to this Blancpain, and this Blancpain is nicer in its execution, and I think it's noticeable, and I want to mention that. Now, some guys don't like the addition of the date between the 4 and 5 o'clock markers, but I will say it's matching, so it's a blue disc with white printing. It does disappear, but it is present. I like the fact that Blancpain wanted to add the practicality of a date, but they didn't want to break up that beautiful symmetry of the applied Arabic markers. And so I don't mind this personally, but I know some guys don't like having the date. You want to see perfect symmetry and balance in a luxury watch. And for that, I would say maybe opt for the grand date version at the 6 o'clock position. I think that does attain that level of sophistication and balance, but this certainly is present here between the 4 and the 5 o'clock position. Love it or hate it. Now let's turn the watch over and take a look at the movement. This is probably my favorite feature of the watch. I think this really adds the value, so to speak. So this is called the 1315 caliber. It's an in-house manufacture from Blancpain. 120 hours of power reserve, which is roughly 5 days or an entire work week of power reserve that's held in 3 different barrels. There is a 28,800 beat per hour rate here, 35 joules, 227 components. We have a silicone hairspring a free-sprung balance with variable inertia screws here for the regulation, and the watch is adjusted in 6 different positions. You can see that engraved in the spiral brushed plate here. And one of my favorite features is a solid 18 karat gold rotor that has excellent matte and brushed finishing here, but you can't tell it's precious metal because it's coated, and it really looks just like a deep anthracite execution. And I like that. The reason why is this watch is a tool watch. It's done in titanium. It's entirely satinized. And it has the history of being the first modern diver watch. So it has a toolish aesthetic and history that you want to play up. So if this had thermally blued screws and Geneva striping and a yellow gold winding mass, I don't think it would quite match the feel of the watch, even though it would be a traditional execution for this price point, if that makes sense. So Blancpain is really kind of taking the look down a bit to be a little bit more industrial and toolish, but still displaying their prowess in finish work. And I do think this has the right level of finesse and sophistication that I would expect from a brand like Blancpain. So I look at this and I love the brushing here. I love the black polishing of the screws. And I just love the mirror anglage here in between the different plates. Seeing the hint of the gear train beyond, this watch certainly is so attractive to look at and carries all the specs that we like, you know, with the silicone and the free sprung balance, the 6-position adjustment. So just factoring in this 13-15 caliber, that really brings the value for the retail price. And pairing that with the finishing, pairing that with the details of the dial, the addition of the precious metal, the tactile elements here, specifically the bezel and the crown, very smooth. I will say, yes, this is worthy of its retail price. It is worthy of its brand name, of its history. And I don't think you should have reservations of, you know, am I getting enough watch for my money when I want to spend north of $10,000 on a tool diver or a sport watch? So that would be my opinion. Now let's take a look at a couple more things as we wrap up the video. Let's do the Lume Shot. This is awesome. I mean, it's not very common that you see a fully lumed index in a luxury diver, but Blancpain was the first to do it, and they've done a very nice job with this one. So we have C3 from Superluminova throughout, and a lot of times with a lumed bezel, the indexes fade a lot quicker than the hands and markers, and I would say that's not the case here with the 50 Fathoms. The indexing in the lumed bezel insert is just as potent as the substantial handset here, as well as the Arabics and the triangular applied markers. So very well done on the luminescence here. I would not say it's quite as potent as the Pelagos from Tudor, but it certainly is very good, and I would say you won't be disappointed with the Lume execution here. Now let's take a look at the sailcloth strap. We have traditional sailcloth that is silicone backed here with a navy contrast stitching, so you actually could take this in water. We have a titanium signed buckle here, entirely brushed with 50 Fathoms as the signature, which is nice, and I think the aesthetic matches the design of the watch case. So I think overall, the execution is sharp. I like the details. The only areas for improvement in my eyes are twofold. One would be the bezel action. I think it's appropriate for the price, but it's not quite as satisfying as the best in the business, which is the Rolex Submariner. I think this is great if you're operating it fairly slow and enjoying each crisp position, but if you're turning this quickly, it's not quite as satisfying. And I know I'm nitpicking here, but you really have to nitpick the ridiculous details when you're talking about watches north of $10,000 because they're so well done. So I'd say there is room for improvement with the bezel action, although it is very nice. And the only other area is I would like a cleaner application of anti-reflective treatment so I can see the gorgeous guilloche texturing and starburst rays of the blue on the dial to a higher degree of clarity. This is adequate, but it could be better. So those are my two critiques here. I love the movement. I love the lumed application. I love the details, the cleanliness, the history. I really do think this is an impressive watch, and it would be worthy of its going rate in the market. Now, lastly, would I purchase this? Let me give you my own opinion. You may disagree with it, but that's totally fine. I would say I don't think I would purchase this for my own collection. And why do I say that? Well, I'm a bracelet guy. If I were to put this on the bracelet, I think it would just be a little bit too beefy. I'm not a huge fan of the butterfly system, so I would want a bracelet, being a bracelet guy, but I would want to go a little bit smaller, go with the 40mm variation, probably in stainless steel because it is smaller, and I'd want a little bit of substance on my sport watch on my wrist. So I would go with the 40mm variation, probably the black on the bracelet personally, but I really have nothing against anyone that wants to go with the more traditional full-size pick, especially here in titanium. So guys, I make mistakes in every video. Let me know if I missed something. Let me know if you have any questions. We will be doing a comparison between this and the Glashütte Original CQ Panorama Date, which is an absolutely beautiful German watch at roughly the same price point. And I will throw in my Submariner just for fun, even though the retail price is less, but the going rate is quite a bit more than either watch. So we're gonna do a three-way comparison very soon. So let me know if there's something specific you would like to see for that. I'm looking forward to doing it because this price point, again, like I mentioned before, is very interesting, and you can do quite a bit with that type of budget. So we're gonna get into that. Again, let me know if you have any questions. If you're shopping for Blancpain, if you're shopping for Omega, if you're shopping for a number of different luxury brands, reach out to Exquisite. They are the Blancpain authorized dealer that lent this one in for presentation. And they've really just become a huge supporter of my channel and lending in amazing pieces for me to review and present here. So a big thank you to them. All of the links, contact information, recommendations are in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I know we went a little bit long today. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.